When you're 82, it's legal to do that. You're on the wrong one. All of this goes in there. We just had to get our wires in the right place. We got it all figured out. All right, we're going to have school here. The whole lifter world is upside down for Chryslers because the Chrysler takes the same OD lifter as an AMC. Chrysler's got the biggest diameter lifter in the industry back then. That's why we could run a 650 lift flat tappet cam and nobody else could, because we had the biggest lifter. When the lifter company was making all the lifters, when they went bankrupt because they started making roller lifters and everything, well, some college boy figured out that the lifters were the same diameter. So they started putting AMC lifters in the Chrysler, because you couldn't put the Chrysler lifter in an AMC, but you could put the AMC lifter in the Chrysler. Chrysler lifter does not have a hole in it to oil through the push rod. AMC lifters do. That's the first dead giveaway, is that, come here and get you a shot of it, where the AMC lifter has a hole in it for the push rod. Now, the next difference is, get up here where you can see them both side by side. Look at the difference in the depth of the plunger where the push rod sits. The AMC lifter is about 100 thousandths shorter than the Chrysler lifter. And all the cam companies are selling AMC lifters. So many people put the cam lifters in the cars and the rocker arms rattle, and they don't know why. That's because the lifter's too short. This is a real set of 3614 321 Chrysler lifters. That's probably the last set of them in the world. I got them on the shelf. But that's the reason so many people are having trouble with the rocker arms making noise when they don't cut. First thing they do is they don't cut the head, they don't cut the block, and then they put a Felpro head gasket on it and raise the head up another 25 thousandths. So now you've added that 25 to the 100 or so you already lost, and the rocker arms are going to rattle. Now, all the crooks in the country, they want to sell you a set of adjustable rocker arms, because I ran into this even when I was still in business. The simple way to fix it is you buy a set of lash caps from Comp Cam, set them on the valves, put the rocker arms on, problem solved. I had a guy call me one day just madder than Dickens. Had to buy adjustable rockers. I said, well, you didn't buy the cam lifters from me. That's your first problem. So that shut him up real quick. And I sold him a set of lash caps, and that fixed it. It takes a 612. It's Comp Cams, I think, it's the lash cap number. And that's 11/32 valve in that Edelbrock head. So it's a different number. I'd be scared to quote those numbers. It's been too long since I've done this. I closed in 1996. But I have run into this problem more times than you can count. I ran into it with Edelbrock, and they said, no, our lifters are Chrysler lifters. I said, no, they're not. I'm going to send you one. I sent them a Chrysler lifter. Smitty called me the next morning and said, you're right. I said, I know I'm right. Send my lifter back to me. But that's definitely a problem. There's some company that claims they make the Chrysler lifter now, the right height lifter. But I can't remember who it is. I'm sure you can find it on the internet, but they make the correct lifter for it. I think one of the biggest difference in the lifter is the seat that the push rod sits in, because that's where the depth is right there. The lifter itself is exactly the same height, but that's got the hole in it. AMC lifters, AMC rocker arms oil through the push rod. Chrysler oils through the head through a real oiling system. And so you don't have a hole in a Chrysler lifter. There's one other thing that has to be done. I didn't say you need to, I say you got to. You ain't got a choice. You have to put oil in the motor with a new cam that has zinc in it. If the oil does not have zinc in it, you will wipe the camshaft out. The government made the oil companies take zinc out of the oil, and when they did, the camshaft world just exploded because everybody was wiping out brand new cams. I had a guy call me, done wiped out 3 of them. I said, that's because you don't know what you're doing. He said, I got that figured out. Why do I fix it? I said, you put oil in it with zinc in it. You can buy, Lucas sells one of the best ones with the most zinc in it. The zinc gives the lifter enough abrasion on the cam lobe to make the lifter spin. If that lifter don't spin, boom, just wipe the cam lobe right out. And you've got to have zinc in the oil in any of these older cars. I don't care if it's got an old camshaft in it, it still needs the zinc in it. If you've got a car that's got a flat tappet, hydraulic or solid lifter cam in it, it better have zinc in the oil or you're going to wipe the camshaft out. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. All your new cars have roller lifters, so they don't have to slide on the cam lobe. They just roll over it. So please Make sure you got zinc in the oil. And like I said, Lucas is one of the best ones. I think Valvoline's got one now. They call it off-road oil or some malarkey like that. I'm sure the Valvoline was very good also. But the company's figured out they got to put the stuff back in them because people are going crazy. This is a touch start box where you touch the button to crank the car. I'm trashy. I got one in the 61 Plymouth up there. You just touch it. You don't push the button. You touch the button. It recognizes your finger.
With somebody else's finger, it wouldn't recognize?
Yeah, it would.
Okay.
See, that's where all the wiring comes like that, packaged. And the push button's in the already, and we got it already installed in the dash. I just got to hook everything up to it. By next Monday, I hope all this is in the car. If I can stay here all weekend and the phone don't ring and nobody bothers me, I'll get it done. See, this is what they send you right here.
Oh, that's impossible. It's tiny.
That is that. When you're 82, it's legal to do this.
Ready?
Yep. Okay. Yeah, we're going to lock the door. The blue one. Okay. That locked the door. Now we're going to unlock the door. That unlocked the door. Now we're going to open the trunk. That's the brown one. You're on the wrong one. There you go. You ready? Nope. You were on the right one. I'm sorry.
3.
There we go. I pushed the right button. Now unlock the trunk. Okay. We just had to get our wires in the right place. We got it all figured out. And then I made this cover. We're going to powder coat it. That's where all my wires will come in. And this is going to sit on top of this. It'll be powder coated. All cleaned up and powder coated.
Now this is a special high dollar oven here. Only the greatest can use a really high quality oven from your local appliance place. Still works though.
But we just did this on the table so you could see how everything worked. Now, let me unhook these so Shannon don't. There we go. Okay. Now walk over to the car. Okay. This is an aftermarket electric door lock solenoid, and you run the little wire up to your door lock button, and that's what unlocks your door. You unlock it with the keyless. You can lock it or unlock it from inside the car too. Now, back here, that is a Chrysler electric trunk lock. They use the same one from the late 60s to 90. I mean, I don't care what it comes off of. They're all the same. And on this particular car, I had to weld this little piece on over here because there wasn't anywhere for the second bolt. Most of the time, they'll bolt right on. I got one on my 61 300G. It's just, and some of them look different. They redesigned it a couple of times because them engineers have to justify their job and redesign things. But it's the same piece. All you got to have is a hot wire and the lock's grounded. That's it. It opens the trunk with a button. I haven't used a key in a trunk lock in 40 or 50 years. My 65 300L had a vacuum operated trunk lock in it. And then they went to electric about 67 or 8 and got rid of the vacuum. But that's what makes it neat. I've never bought a used one that didn't work. Now the cruise controls, they use the same cruise control from the late 60s all the way to 90. And I put them on everything, but they're getting really hard to find. And there's a company that makes the handle. They say it's for a Chevrolet, but it's the exact same handle as a Chrysler. Only difference is the color of the wires coming out, and I got all that figured out. And they work great. They absolutely work great. Much better than any of this aftermarket stuff you buy. Some of that stuff, that one that's where you glue the things onto the drive shaft, oh my God. I had one of them one time. It come off out in New Mexico or somewhere. I thought there was a war going on under the truck. Then we had to drive back without the cruise. But they work great. But I like to do stuff like that. These are wires coming from my door locks. That was put on there just to fish it through with. But that's the door lock wire from driver's side. This is door lock wire from the passenger side. I'll tie the two greens and blues together and run them to the inside. The box is going to be in the trunk. And we'll run them in there. And then the wire from there to the trunk lock, that just opens it. And you can put a button inside the car if you want to. Just run it to something 12 volt. So it's 12 volt when you touch it, it's tied into that wire. Don't hurt a thing. You can open the trunk from inside the car. I got one on my 61G. I just hit the button inside and open it. I got them on the 61 Plymouth. But that's where we are on it today. By next week, there will be a ton of wiring done. Believe me, it will. Shannon just painted the dash. Walk around here and look at this. This thing looks great. Shannon just painted this dash completely. And before we put the dash back in, I went in there and put weather pack wire ends on everything under the dash. So I run my wires up there, all I gotta do is plug them in. Instead of trying to hook everything up under the dash while you're trying to lay on the floor and do it. I did that panel for it to cover the holes in the firewall and everything. And see, we got, I don't know if you can see it or not, you probably can. Look through the glove box door. Look at, up the glove box. See that tray in there? That metal, yeah, that tray. I made that tray. Now look underneath. You'll see the fuse panel.
Oh, yeah.
And then over to the other side, there's a relay set up. And then that box on the kick, behind the kick panel there, there'll be a metal kick panel in there. The planeless box. Okay. Yeah, that'll turn your headlights on when it gets dark outside. And leave them on while you get in the house, and it'll turn them off. And the interior lights, they'll stay on for about a minute, and then they slowly dim down. And I'm trashy.
Yeah, that looks good.
There's wires laying everywhere. Walk over here, and I'll show you where we are. Now, we got a panel made to go in there to cover that up. It's laying over there. We hadn't painted it yet. It'll be like that panel over there on the side. It'll be similar to that goes in there so you don't see the back of the seat. All of this goes in there, plus more actually, but that's a large part of it. There's some more in the box over there. That will all be in there hopefully by next week. You want to stay here and do that for me this weekend?
It might take us 2 weeks. I try to help.
There's no magic about it. You see, people have trouble wiring today because when they went to school, they never learned to read a road map. Well, what does that look like? That's a road map. But they sent it to me in a little deal about this big, and I took it to Office Depot. I said, blow that thing up where I can see it. It says, do not reproduce. I said, just blow the thing up. I ain't selling it. But that really helps when you can see it. All the wires are colored. All these wires from Ron Francis, if you look at them, I'll find one here you can see a little better. See, that says headlight switch. That one says right rear turn, right front turn. All your wires, if you buy the Ron Francis stuff, they all come labeled front to back. That's nice. And then they send you the wiring diagram with it. It makes it. This is the first time I've really used one of their kits. I always just make all the wires myself and didn't worry about it. Well, I just thought I'd try it. So it's all the same. You just have to, this deal just saves you time if you're looking for a wire in the car, you can see what it is.
That would save a lot.
And when you're 82, you can't remember what color you put in the car 2 years ago. So, okay.
All right, so sometimes it's a good idea to save a few dollars, especially if you have carpet that still at least resembles carpet. Now, what you see here, this piece of carpet here has had a lot of sun fading. They have this really cool stuff, I don't know if y'all have ever tried it, from Sim, their color coat. It is a sprayable dye, and as you can tell, this is the rear that's already been done This was every bit as bad, if not worse, than this one, but look how much better it looks already. So a great way to spiff up your ride without spending $200-300 on a new carpet kit for that Lancer. So real quick, what we'll do is we'll spray this thing down just to show you in real time. But you'll see immediately, see that color? But it adds color back into it. So if you ever had a car with black carpet or a dark carpet, keep in mind those are going to be the most noticeable colors when it comes to color fade. This dark blue starts to look a lot better, and it likes about 2 coats, and then it turns out pretty nice. And once again, especially if you're trying to spiff up an interior on a budget, because a lot of cars, the carpet doesn't really start coming apart. Some do, but a lot of the cars, it's more of the carpet starts losing its color as it fades from sunshine. So once again, probably a good idea to probably put at least 2, maybe 3 coats on it. But look how much different it looks than it did before. There we go. I mean, it ain't perfect, but it looks to me 100,000,000%. You should have seen, I wish I got you to do the before, because the back looked way worse than the front, which makes no sense how the back seat or the back carpet got more sunlight damage than the front. Somehow it did. Like down here, you kind of can see it. Like right here, whatever reason, it was like white. It almost looked like someone put maybe bleach or something on it. It actually damaged the fiber. So, and I think it's part of what happened. Because the color's pretty uniform on there. I think it looks good. We'll just let it dry. That ain't perfect, but it looked better than it did.